Jake Morrison walked through the empty halls of the Galactic Council building. His footsteps echoed in the silence. He carried a small box filled with human documents and pictures. After 47 years, humanity was leaving the Council. The meeting had ended 3 hours ago. The vote was clear. 15 species voted against humans. Only 2 voted to keep them. The rest stayed neutral. The message was simple. Humans were no longer welcome. Jake remembered his first day here 20 years ago. He was young and excited to represent Earth. He believed in cooperation between species. He thought working together would make the galaxy better. Now he felt tired and disappointed. The Zelrani had complained first. They said humans were too aggressive in trade deals. They did not like how humans asked too many questions. The Vorthak joined them. They said humans were unpredictable and caused problems in meetings. The Nexari were worse. These crystal beings spoke only about logic and order. They said human emotions made bad decisions. They wanted everything planned perfectly. Humans, they claimed, brought chaos wherever they went. Even the peaceful Mallory turned against them. The Mallory had been friends with humans for decades. They had worked together on many projects. But fear made them vote with the others. They were afraid to stand alone. Jake reached his office and began packing. The walls were covered with pictures of human achievements. There was the photo of Captain Lisa Harper shaking hands with the first Mallory ambassador. Another showed human engineers building the Great Space Bridge near Vega. A third captured human doctors saving Nexari children during the Crystal Plague outbreak. He took down each picture carefully. These moments meant something once. They showed humans helping others. They proved humans belonged in the galaxy. But the other species had forgotten. They only remembered the arguments and the disagreements. His communicator buzzed. A message from Earth appeared on the screen. Protocol 7 approved, it read. Begin immediate withdrawal, no exceptions. Jake understood. Protocol 7 was the plan nobody wanted to use. It meant complete separation from galactic society. No more trade, no more shared technology, no more helping other species with their problems. Humans would become invisible to the galaxy. He sent the same message to every human facility in space. Mining stations received it first, trade ships got it next, military vessels followed. Research bases came last. Within hours, humans across the galaxy would know it was time to come home. Captain Lisa Harper read the message aboard her ship, the UFS Endeavor. She was exploring a new star system near the edge of known space. Her crew had discovered 3 planets that could support life. They were planning to share this information with the Council. Not anymore, Lisa called her crew together. We are going home, she announced. Pack everything. Leave nothing behind? Her crew looked confused, but they followed orders. They were good people who trusted their captain, the science officer. Dr. Peter Grant asked the question everyone was thinking. What about our research? We were going to help the Mallory find new colony worlds. The Mallory will have to find their own worlds now, Lisa replied. Her voice was calm but sad. We are no longer part of their story. Admiral Chris Sullivan coordinated the Great Withdrawal from his command ship near Earth. Hundreds of human vessels began their journey home. Some came from the far edge of the galaxy. Others left star systems they had protected for years. The Admiral watched the main screen as ship after ship reported in. Mining operations shut down. Trade routes closed. Diplomatic stations went dark. It was like watching stars go out one by one. His aide, Commander Nancy Price, brought him a report. Sir, we are receiving distress calls from alien vessels. Pirates are attacking a Zelrani convoy in Sector 7. A Vorthak exploration ship is trapped near a black hole. Should we respond? No, Sullivan said firmly. We follow Protocol 7. No contact with alien species, no assistance, no communication. Nancy looked uncomfortable. But sir, people might die. People are dying anyway, Sullivan replied. The Council made their choice. They wanted us gone. We are giving them exactly what they asked for. On the planet New Terra, Governor Ben Rodriguez received the withdrawal order. He called an emergency meeting with all department heads. The room filled quickly with worried faces. "We are cutting all ties with alien governments," he announced. "No more trade deals, no more cultural exchange programs, no more joint research projects. We become invisible to them." The trade minister raised his hand. "Governor, we have contracts worth billions of credits. The Tarkonians depend on our agricultural exports. The Nexari buy our manufactured goods." "Cancel everything," Rodriguez ordered. "Return their money, shut down the facilities." "We are done with them," the education minister looked shocked. "What about the alien students at our universities? What about our students studying on their worlds? Bring our people home. Send their people back, no exceptions." Dr. Amy Chan sat in her laboratory on Mars. She had been working with Nexari scientists for 5 years. Together they were developing a cure for crystal rot, a disease that killed thousands of Nexari each year. They were close to a breakthrough. She looked at the test samples growing in their containers. Months of work, years of research. Lives that could be saved. She picked up each container and placed them in the disposal unit. The samples turned to ash in seconds. Her assistant, Dr. Mark Johnson, watched in horror. "Amy, what are you doing? We were so close to finding a cure." "The Nexari think we are chaos," Amy said quietly. "Let them find their own cure with their perfect logic." Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out. Human doctors deleted medical research. Human engineers destroyed blueprints. Human teachers erased lesson plans. 47 years of cooperation disappeared in a single day. The aliens noticed immediately. Communication channels went silent. Trade ships stopped arriving. Emergency response teams did not answer distress calls. The humans had simply vanished. On the council station, Councillor Lexani tried to contact the human embassy. The building was empty, the staff was gone. Only a simple message remained on the door. Humanity has withdrawn from galactic affairs as requested by the council vote. All future communications should be directed to council administration. The councillor felt a strange unease. The victory seemed hollow now. The halls felt too quiet without human voices. The debates seemed too predictable without human chaos, but it was too late to change anything. The vote was final. The humans were gone, and for the first time in decades, the galaxy was exactly as ordered and logical as the council had always wanted. 3 months had passed since the humans left the council. At first, everything seemed normal. The meetings were quieter. The debates were more orderly. The councillors felt satisfied with their decision. Then the problem started. Councillor Lexani of the Zalrani Empire sat in her office reading terrible news. 12 merchant ships had been destroyed by pirates in the past week. The ships carried food and medicine to outer colonies. Without these supplies, people would starve, she called her military commander. "Where are our patrol ships? Why are the pirates attacking so freely?" Commander Vextal looked uncomfortable. "The patrol routes are too large for our fleet. We only have enough ships to protect the core systems. The outer routes are undefended. What about the human patrol ships? They used to help us. The humans are gone, Counselor. They no longer respond to our calls." Lexani felt a cold fear in her stomach. She had forgotten how much the humans helped with security. Their ships were always ready to fight pirates. Their captains were brave and skilled. They never asked for payment. They just helped because it was right. Now the trade routes were dangerous. Ships traveled in fear. Many captains refused to make the journey. The Zelrani economy was starting to break down. On the planet Kepler 442, the ground began to shake. The Mollery colonists felt their buildings move. Cracks appeared in the walls. Children cried in fear. Colony leader Cathara called an emergency meeting. "The seismic activity is getting worse. We need to evacuate the dangerous areas." "Which areas are dangerous?" asked the chief engineer. Cathara looked confused. "I do not know. The humans built our earthquake warning system. They trained our technicians, but the technicians left with the human evacuation." The chief engineer checked the warning system. The screen showed numbers and charts, but nobody understood what they meant. The system was working, but nobody could read it. "We need to contact the humans," Cathara said. They will help us understand. 3. Distress calls were sent to human space. All 3 were ignored. The humans had stopped helping anyone. The Molari were alone with their shaking planet. Meanwhile, on the human colony world of New Texas, Governor Ben Rodriguez received the alien distress signals. His communication officer brought him the messages every day. Governor, we have 17 new distress calls. The Molari need help with earthquakes. The Zelrani are asking for patrol ships. The Vorthak want medical assistance for a plague outbreak. Rodriguez looked at each message carefully. People were suffering. People were dying. His heart wanted to help them. But his orders were clear. File all messages. Send no replies. We are not part of their problems anymore. The communication officer looked sad. Sir, these are people who used to be our friends. They voted us out, Rodriguez replied. They said we were too aggressive. They said we caused problems. Now they have to solve their own problems. On Mars, Dr. Amy Chun worked in her laboratory. She had spent 3 months developing new medical treatments. Without alien cooperation, human medicine was advancing faster than ever. They could focus on helping humans instead of solving alien problems. Her assistant brought her a coded message. Doctor, this is from the Nexari Empire. They are asking for help with the crystal rot disease. The outbreak is spreading. Amy looked at the message. She remembered the Nexari crystals she had destroyed 3 months ago. Those samples could have saved thousands of lives. But the Nexari had called human research methods primitive. Delete the message, she said. Send no reply. But doctor, people are dying. The Nexari have perfect logic. They said so themselves. Let them use their logic to find a cure. The problems grew worse each day. The Tarkonian Trade Alliance discovered that their cargo ships were breaking down. The ships used human-built engines that needed special maintenance. Human engineers had always fixed them for free. Now the engines were failing. The Tarkonians tried to repair them, but they did not understand the technology. The engines were too advanced for their knowledge. Trade ships sat broken in space while their crews waited for rescue. President Zexter of the Tarkonian Alliance called an emergency meeting. We need to contact the humans. Our economy depends on those ships. The humans are not responding to anyone, his advisor replied. We sent 50 messages. They ignore them all. What about the instruction manuals? The humans must have left. Repair guides. They left the manuals, but we cannot understand them. The mathematics are too complex. The engineering principles are beyond our knowledge. Zexter felt panic rising in his chest. His people had used human technology for decades without learning how it worked. They had taken the benefits without understanding the science. Now they were helpless. The Vorthak hegemony faced different problems. Their military was fighting a war against rebel colonies. The rebels used human fighting tactics that confused the Vorthak commanders. General Mordek studied the battle reports. The rebels are using unpredictable strategies. They attack where we least expect. They retreat when we think they will fight. They fight when we think they will retreat. These are human tactics, his advisor said. The rebels learn from human military instructors. Then we need human advisors to counter them. The humans are gone, General. They will not help us. Mordek felt frustrated. The Vorthak military had always been logical and methodical. They planned every battle carefully. They followed proven strategies, but human tactics were different. They were creative and surprising. They worked because they made no logical sense. Without humans to teach them, the Vorthak could not adapt. The rebels were winning battle after battle. On the council station, emergency meetings happened every day. Each species brought new problems. The Nexari reported system failures in their computer networks. The Molari needed help with natural disasters. The Zelrani wanted protection from pirates. Counselor Thexani stood before the assembly. We must contact the humans. These problems are beyond our abilities. We voted them out, Counselor Vexter reminded her. We said they were too aggressive. We said they caused problems. But they also solved problems, Bixani replied. Problems. We did not know we had. The truth was becoming clear. Humans had been fixing things for decades. They had protected trade routes, they had maintained technology, they had provided medical care. They had taught military tactics. They had helped with disasters. The other species had taken this help for granted. They had complained about human methods without understanding human value. They had focused on human problems without seeing human solutions. Now the humans were gone. The galaxy was learning to function without them. But functioning was not the same as thriving. The first cracks in galactic civilization were showing. Soon, those cracks would become breaks. The breaks would become disasters. And the disasters would make the Council understand what they had lost, but understanding would come too late. The humans had moved on. They were building their own future. They were no longer listening to alien problems the galaxy had asked for. Human silence. The galaxy had received exactly what it requested. And now the galaxy was learning the true cost of that silence. 6 months had passed since the humans left. The small problems had become big problems. The big problems had become disasters. The galaxy was falling apart. President Zarthik of the Tarkonian Free Trade Alliance stared at the numbers on his screen. They were all bad. Trade was down 60%. Half of their cargo ships were broken and floating in space. The other half were too afraid to travel the dangerous routes. His economic advisor brought more terrible news. "Sir, we have discovered something worse. 60% of our entire trade network depends on human-built systems. Space elevators, orbital platforms, hyperspace relay stations, all of them use human technology." "So we repair them?" Zarthik said. "We cannot, sir. We do not understand how they work. The humans built them, maintained them, and upgraded them for decades. We just use them." Zarthik felt sick. His people had become wealthy using human infrastructure. They had never bothered to learn the science behind it. They had assumed the humans would always be there to fix things. Now the systems were breaking down. Without human engineers, the Tarkonian economy was collapsing. On the abandoned human trading post at Rigel 7, Captain Roy Stevens watched through security cameras. Alien engineering teams crawled over the broken machinery like confused insects. They had tools, but they did not know how to use them. Roy had been ordered to leave 6 months ago. But he stayed hidden in the sealed command center. He wanted to see what would happen. He wanted to watch the aliens try to run things without human help. The engineering teams had been working for 3 weeks. They had instruction manuals. They had detailed blueprints. They had everything except understanding. One team was trying to restart the main power generator. They followed the instructions exactly. But they did not understand why each step was necessary. When the generator failed to start, they did not know what went wrong. Another team worked on the computer systems. They could turn them on and off. They could run basic programs. But when something broke, they were helpless. The computers used human programming languages that were too complex for alien minds. Roy laughed quietly as he watched them struggle. These were the same aliens who had called human technology primitive. They had said human engineering was chaotic and inefficient. Now they could not even fix a simple power coupling. The Nexari Empire faced a different crisis. Their perfect logic was failing them. The Saurian Confederacy had launched surprise attacks on 3 border worlds. The Nexari Council was still calculating the proper response. Prime Logic Node 447 studied the tactical data. The optimal response requires 847 hours of calculation. We must consider all possible variables and outcomes. 847 hours? Asked Logic Node 223. The Saurians will conquer our entire border region by then. Logic cannot be rushed. A hasty decision could lead to greater losses. But while the Nexari calculated, the Saurians acted. They used human military tactics that made no logical sense. They attacked where they seemed weakest. They retreated when they seemed strongest. They divided their forces when logic said to concentrate them. The Nexari computers could not predict these illogical moves. Every calculation assumed the enemy would act rationally. But the Saurians had learned from humans that winning was more. Important than being logical. In 3 weeks, the Saurians conquered 2 star systems. The Nexari were still calculating their response. On Earth, Senator Grace Walker monitored alien communications from her office in Geneva. Her job was to track galactic events and report to the human government. But she was not allowed to help or interfere. The communication channels were full of desperate messages. Medical emergencies, natural disasters, technological failures, military defeats. The aliens were crying for help, but no one was listening. Grace read each message carefully. A Mallory colony ship was lost in an asteroid field. The crew did not know how to navigate the complex gravitational forces. Human ships had always guided them through such dangers. A Zelrani research station was losing life support. The human-built systems were failing, and nobody knew how to repair them. 40 scientists would die unless someone helped them. A Vorthic military base was under attack by rebels. The rebels used human tactics that the Vorthic could not counter. The base would fall within days. Grace wanted to help. Every message made her heart hurt. These were people who had worked with humans for decades. They had been friends and allies. Now they were dying and humans were doing nothing, but her orders were clear. The galaxy had voted humans out. The galaxy would have to solve its own problems. Dr. Kevin Walsh worked in the abandoned research facility on Titan. He had been a joint project coordinator, working with scientists from 12 different species. Now he worked alone, studying the alien research they had left behind. The aliens had abandoned their experiments when the humans left. They could not continue the work without human assistance, but they also could not take their research with them. The experiments required human facilities and human expertise. Kevin found fascinating discoveries gathering dust. The Mallory had been developing new materials stronger than diamond. The Nexari had created computers that thought faster than any human machine. The Vorthak had discovered new medicines that could cure genetic diseases. All of this knowledge was useless without human help. The aliens could not finish their research alone. The projects died when the humans left, but Kevin could finish them. He understood both human and alien science. He could complete work that 12 species could not do separately. Human science was advancing faster than ever. Without aliens slowing them down, human researchers made breakthrough after breakthrough. They solved problems that had puzzled the galaxy for centuries. The Galactic Council met in emergency session every week. Each meeting brought worse news. The economy was collapsing. Wars were spreading. Technology was failing. People were dying. Counselor. The Ixani had aged years in just 6 months. The stress was killing her. Her empire was falling apart without human protection and support. "We must contact the humans," she said for the 100th time. "We must apologize and ask them to return." "They ignore all our messages," Counselor Vexter replied. His own military was losing the war against human-trained rebels. "We have sent envoys to every human world. They are turned away without explanation." "What do the humans want?" asked Counselor Cathara. Her colonies were being abandoned as natural disasters destroyed them one by one. Nobody knew the answer. The humans had not made any demands. They had not threatened anyone. They had not asked for anything. They had simply disappeared. The truth was simple, but the aliens could not see it. President Alex Turner of the United Earth government had given the same response to every alien contact attempt. The Galactic Council requested human withdrawal from galactic affairs. This request has been fulfilled. Any future communication should be directed to the Council. The humans were not angry. They were not seeking revenge. They were simply doing exactly what the Council had asked them to do. The galaxy had voted for human withdrawal. The galaxy had received human withdrawal. The fact that this was destroying galactic civilization was not humanity's problem anymore. On the Deep Space Monitoring Station, Commander Kate Fisher received her 500th distress signal that week. A Nexari science vessel was trapped in a gravitational anomaly near the Horsehead Nebula. Kate knew this type of anomaly well. Human ships had rescued dozens of vessels from similar traps. The procedure was dangerous but not impossible. It required quick thinking and creative solutions. It required human skills. She watched the Nexari ship signal on her screen. The crew was trying to escape using logical calculations. They measured gravitational forces and computed escape vectors, but the anomaly was chaotic and unpredictable. Logic would not save them. The signal grew weaker each hour. Soon it would disappear completely. The ship and its crew would be lost forever. Kate filed the report and continued her duties. She felt sad for the Nexari crew, but her orders were clear. The galaxy had chosen to reject human help. The galaxy would live with the consequences of that choice. The ship's signal faded and vanished. Another vessel was lost. Another crew was dead. Another reminder of what the galaxy had thrown away when it rejected humanity. The dominoes were falling faster now. Each failure caused more failures. Each disaster made the next disaster worse. The galaxy had functioned for millions of years, but it had never needed to function without humans. In just 47 years, humanity had become essential to galactic civilization. Their chaotic thinking, their creative solutions, their willingness to help others had become the glue holding everything together. That glue, the galaxy was breaking apart, and the worst was yet to come. 1 year had passed since the humans left. The galaxy was dying. What had started as small problems had become a complete disaster. The Galactic Council was meeting every day now, but they could not stop the collapse. Councillor Dexani looked. Around the council chamber, half the seats were empty. The Mollery had lost so many colonies that they could barely maintain their government. The Tarkonian Trade Alliance was bankrupt. 3 smaller species had asked to leave the council because they could not afford to participate anymore. "We are facing the end of our civilization," Dixani announced. Her voice was weak and tired. "The economic collapse has spread to every member species. Our military forces are defeated. Our technology is failing. Our people are dying." The remaining councillors nodded sadly. They all knew the truth. Without human help, they were helpless. "We must contact the humans," Dixani continued. "We must beg them to return. Our survival depends on it." Councillor Vexter shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "We have tried everything. We sent diplomatic messages. We offered trade deals. We promised them better treatment. They ignore us completely." "What about direct contact?" asked Councillor Cathara. "We could send ships to human space. We could land on their worlds and speak to them face to face." "We tried that too," Vexter replied. "Our envoys are turned away at the border. Human patrol ships escort them out of human space without explanation. They will not even speak to us." The truth was simpler than the councillors understood. Every alien ship that approached human space received the same message. "You are entering restricted space. Turn back immediately or face defensive action." The humans were not cruel. They were not angry. They were simply following the rules they had been given. The council had voted them out. The council had asked them to leave. So they left completely. President Alex Turner sat in his office on Earth, reading reports from across the galaxy. The situation was worse than anyone had imagined. Entire star systems were going dark. Billions of people were suffering. Civilizations that had lasted for thousands of years were collapsing. His advisor, Secretary of State Linda Hayes, brought him the latest messages from alien governments. "Sir, we have received over 3,000 requests for assistance in the past month. Medical emergencies, natural disasters, technological failures, military defeats. They are begging for help." Turner read through the messages. Each one was more desperate than the last. The Nexari Empire was losing planets to the Saurian invasion. The Zelrani were facing civil war as their economy collapsed. The Mollery were abandoning their colonies as earthquakes destroyed their cities. "What is our response?" Linda asked. "The same as always," Turner replied. "The Galactic Council requested human withdrawal from galactic affairs. This request has been fulfilled. Any future communication should be directed to the Council." Linda looked uncomfortable. "Sir, people are dying. Entire species might go extinct. Should we not help them?" Turner stood and walked to the window. He could see the busy streets of New Geneva below. Humans were living normal lives while the galaxy burned around them. They made their choice, Linda. They said we were too aggressive. They said we caused problems. They voted us out, but we could save them. We could, Turner agreed, but why should we? For 47 years, we helped them. We protected their trade routes. We maintained their technology. We saved their people during disasters. We asked for nothing in return except to be treated as equals. He turned back to his advisor. Instead, they complained about our methods. They said we were chaotic and unpredictable. They said we brought disorder to their perfect systems. They wanted us gone, so we gave them what they wanted. We left, we stopped helping, we stopped interfering. Now they have the orderly, logical galaxy they always dreamed of. Linda was quiet for a moment. It is not very orderly now, sir. No. Turner smiled sadly. It turns out that chaos and disorder were not the problems. They were the solutions. Human unpredictability was what made the galaxy work. Our chaotic thinking was what solved their logical problems. Meanwhile, on the abandoned research station at Kepler 186F, Dr. Rachel Stone worked alone in her laboratory. She had been studying alien biology for 20 years before the withdrawal. Now she worked on human projects, but she still monitored alien communications. The messages were heartbreaking. The Nexari crystal rot disease was spreading faster than ever. Without human medical research, thousands were dying each day. The Molari were losing entire colonies to earthquakes they could not predict. The Vorthak were being defeated by rebels who used human military tactics. Rachel had the knowledge to help them. Her research could save millions of lives. But her orders were clear. She was not allowed to share information with alien species. She was not allowed to help them. She was not allowed to even respond to their messages. She continued her work, developing new medicines and treatments. But these advances would only help humans. The aliens who had once been her research partners were now forbidden to her. The Galactic Council took desperate action. They voted to formally apologize to humanity. They promised to restore all human rights and privileges. They offered humanity the position of council chairman with power over all other species. A massive delegation was prepared. Every surviving species sent their highest leaders. They traveled to Earth aboard the fastest ships they could find. Many of the ships broke down during the journey because they could not maintain human-built engines. The delegation finally reached Earth after 2 weeks of travel. They requested permission to land. They were kept waiting for 3 days before receiving a response. Permission granted for diplomatic landing only. Duration, 6 hours maximum. No extensions will be granted. The alien leaders were shocked. Before the withdrawal, humans had always welcomed visitors. Human hospitality was famous throughout the galaxy. Now they were being treated like unwanted strangers. The delegation landed at the Geneva spaceport. They were met by a small group of human officials. No crowds, no ceremonies, no celebration, just a quiet, professional reception. President Turner met them in the same council chamber where Ambassador Jake Morrison had once argued for human inclusion in galactic affairs. The alien leaders looked terrible. They were thin and tired. Their usual dignity was gone, replaced by obvious desperation. Councilor Dexani spoke first. President Turner, we have come to apologize. We made a terrible mistake. We ask for your forgiveness and request humanity's return to the galactic community. Turner listened quietly as each species representative spoke. They offered everything they could think of. Trade agreements that heavily favored humans. Technology sharing that gave humans access to all alien knowledge. Military alliances that put human commanders in charge of alien forces. Some promised to give humans entire star systems. Others offered to make human language the official language of the galaxy. The Nexari even offered to let humans redesign their logical systems to include human chaos theory. When they finished, Turner stood and walked to the window. The alien leaders watched him hopefully. They had offered everything they had. Surely, humans would accept and return to help them. Turner looked out at the busy city below. Humans were living good lives. Their technology was advancing rapidly. Their colonies were growing. Their economy was strong. They had built a better future without the Council's approval. In the year since we left your council, Turner said slowly, humanity has established colonies in 47 new star systems. We have developed faster communication networks. We have created new technologies. We have built alliances with species you never bothered to contact. He turned back to the delegation. We have grown stronger in isolation than we ever were as your junior partners. The alien leaders looked confused. This was not what they had expected. They had assumed humans would be grateful for the chance to return. We forgive you, Turner continued. We understand that you were afraid of change. You were comfortable with your old ways. You did not want to adapt to new ideas. Then you will. Return? Vixani asked hopefully. Turner shook his head. The question is not whether we forgive you. The question is whether we need you anymore. The truth hit the alien leaders like a physical blow. They had come to offer humanity a chance to return to the galaxy, but humanity had already found a better galaxy. They had built their own networks. They had made their own alliances. They had created their own future. The delegation had nothing to offer that humans wanted. They were no longer necessary to human success. They were no longer relevant to human plans. The roles had reversed completely. The aliens now needed humans more than humans needed them, but it was too late. The humans had moved on. They had found a better way to live among the stars. As the delegation prepared to leave, Turner gave them one final message. You taught us an important lesson. We do not need your permission to be part of the galaxy. We can choose our own path. We can write our own future. The alien ships departed Earth, carrying the weight of a terrible realization. They had not just lost humanity's help, they had lost humanity itself. The humans were no longer part of their story. They were writing a new story, one that did not include the Council at all. 2 years had passed since the humans left the Council. The galaxy was broken. The Galactic Council building sat mostly empty. Only 6 species remained as active members. The rest had either collapsed completely or withdrawn to their homeworlds. To wait for the end, the Saurian Confederacy had conquered half the galaxy. They moved from system to system, taking what they wanted. The remaining Council species were too weak to stop them. Their fleets were destroyed. Their planets were defenseless. Their people had given up hope. But then something strange happened. The Saurian advance stopped. Their fleet stopped moving. Their communications went silent. For weeks, nobody knew what was happening. Admiral Chris Sullivan sat in his command center on Earth, reading intelligence reports. The news was interesting. The Saurian Confederacy had encountered something unexpected in the Outer Rim territories. Several of their scout fleets had disappeared without sending distress signals. Sir, his intelligence officer reported, we are receiving fragmentary communications from Saurian Command. They seem confused and frightened. They are requesting assistance from any available forces. Sullivan smiled. Assistance? From who? They have conquered everyone else? The truth was simple. The Saurians had run into humanity's new allies. The Corvani Federation lived in the Outer Rim, far from Council space. They were a warrior species that the Council had never bothered to contact. They were too far away and too primitive to be useful, but the humans had found them. Captain Lisa Harper had made first contact 18 months ago. The Corvani were impressed by human courage and fighting spirit. They wanted to learn human military tactics. The humans were happy to teach them. Unlike the Council species, the Corvani did not complain about human methods. They did not call human tactics chaotic or unpredictable. They called them effective. Now the Corvani were using those tactics against the Saurians. The results were devastating. The Saurians had conquered the galaxy using superior numbers and advanced technology. But they had never faced an enemy that fought like humans. The Corvani attacked from unexpected directions. They used hit-and-run tactics that confused Saurian commanders. They retreated when they should fight and fought when they should retreat. They divided their forces when logic said to concentrate them. The Saurians could not adapt. They were like the other Council species. They were too rigid in their thinking. They could not handle the chaos of human-style warfare within 3 months. The Saurian advance had turned into a retreat. The Corvani drove them back system by system. The Great Saurian Confederacy was collapsing just as quickly as it had expanded. President Turner received a report from the Corvani High Command. The Saurians are requesting peace negotiations. They offer to return all conquered territories and pay reparations for damages. Turner was not surprised. The Saurians had learned the same lesson as the Council. Fighting humans or human-trained allies was a losing proposition. It was better to negotiate than to be destroyed. Accept their surrender, Turner ordered. But make it clear that this is a Corvani victory. Humanity is not involved in their conflict. The news spread quickly through the galaxy. The Saurian Confederacy had been defeated. The conquering army that had terrified the entire galaxy had been stopped by a species nobody had heard of. The surviving council species felt a mixture of relief and confusion. They were safe from the Saurians, but they did not understand what had happened. Who were these Corvani? Where had they come from? How had they become so powerful? The answer came from their intelligence services. The Corvani Federation was a human ally. They had been trained by human military advisors. They used human weapons and human tactics. They were, in effect, a human proxy army. This revelation shocked the Council. While they had been collapsing, the humans had been building a new galactic order. They had found new allies. They had shared their knowledge and technology. They had created a military force that could defeat any enemy. The humans had not just survived without the Council. They had thrived. They had built something better. Councillor Lexani called the few remaining Council members together. We need to face the truth, she said. The humans have replaced us. They have built a new alliance that does not include us. What do you mean? Asked Councillor Vexter. Look at the facts. The Corvani Federation is now the strongest military force in the galaxy. They are allied with humanity. There are reports of other species joining this alliance. Species we have never heard of. She brought up a star map on the main screen. The humans have been busy. They have established colonies in 47 new star systems. They have made contact with dozens of species in the Outer Rim. They have built trade networks that do not depend on our infrastructure. The counselors stared at the map. It showed a new galaxy, one where humanity was at the center instead of the Council. The humans had not just left their old alliance. They had built a better one. They do not need us, Vexani continued. We thought we were rejecting them, but they were moving beyond us. While we were voting them out, they were already building their replacement. Meanwhile, on the human colony world of New California, Governor Jennifer Adams received a delegation from the Zorani Republic. The Zorani were a small species from the Outer Rim. They had heard about the human alliance and wanted to join. We offer our knowledge of quantum physics, the Zorani ambassador said. We have developed technologies that could benefit your alliance. Adams studied the proposal. The Zorani were skilled scientists. Their technology was advanced and useful. But more importantly, they understood human values. They believed in cooperation and mutual benefit. Welcome to the Alliance, Adams said. We are happy to have you as partners. This scene was repeated across human space. Species that had been ignored by the Council were eager to join the human alliance. They brought unique skills and knowledge. They were grateful for human friendship and protection. The human alliance grew stronger each month. It was based on mutual respect rather than rigid hierarchy. It valued creativity over conformity. It rewarded innovation and cooperation. Dr. Amy Chun published her research on crystal rot disease. The cure was now available to any species that requested it, but the request had to come through the human alliance. The old council species would have to acknowledge human leadership if they wanted human help. Some species swallowed their pride and joined the alliance. They were welcomed as equals and given access to human technology and protection. Others remained stubborn and continued to decline. The Galactic Council held its final meeting 2 years and 6 months after the human withdrawal. Only 3 species remained as active members. The others had either joined the human alliance or collapsed completely. "We have failed," Counselor Lexani announced. "Our civilization is ending. Our people are suffering. Our enemies are conquering us. We cannot continue." "What do you propose?" asked Counselor Vexter. "We dissolve the council. We admit defeat. We ask the humans to let us join their alliance as minor partners." The vote was unanimous. The Galactic Council officially disbanded. The organization that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years was ended by a simple voice vote. The final message from the Council was sent to President Turner on Earth. The Galactic Council formally dissolves. We request permission to join the Human Alliance as associate members. We accept all terms and conditions. Turner read the message with mixed feelings. He felt no satisfaction in the Council's collapse. These were not his enemies. They were people who had made bad decisions and suffered the consequences, but he also felt pride in what humanity had accomplished. They had been rejected and dismissed. They had been told they were too chaotic and unpredictable. They had been voted out of galactic society. Instead of becoming bitter, they had become better. They had built a new society based on cooperation and mutual respect. They had found allies who valued human qualities rather than feared them. The galaxy was changing, the old order was gone. A new order was emerging, one where humanity was not just a member but a leader. The humans had proven that they did not need permission to be part of the galaxy. They could create their own place among the stars. Turner composed his response to the former council members. "Your request for membership is accepted. Welcome to the Human Alliance. We look forward to working together as equals." The message was sent across the galaxy. The old council was dead. The new alliance was born. And humanity had learned the most important lesson of all. Sometimes the greatest power comes not from forcing others to accept you, but from proving that you never needed their acceptance in the first place. The stars belong to those brave enough to reach for them. Humanity had reached further than anyone else. Now they were showing the galaxy what was possible when people worked together with respect and cooperation. The future was bright. The future was human, and the future was just beginning.